Is this the iPhone?
Yeah,
That's solid, man. That's a solid iPhone camera, man.
it's the 15 Pro Max, I think. I've had it
I
for a
can
couple of
tell.
years.
It actually looks better than the computer.
I hate doing stuff on the phone like this. I don't know what I this is a new I got a new laptop,
Uh-huh.
and I guess I haven't used it to do anything like this in a while because I've been in the hospital all this time.
Uh-huh.
And first of all, I can't even get Zoom on my laptop for some reason. So I tried to like go into the app store and see if I could just re-download it. It won't let me do that. And then
Uh-huh.
I tried to just email it to myself and open it up out of my email.
Uh-huh.
And it's asking me for a password to my Gmail, and my password's the same for everything. And it's telling me that that's not the password. So I kept on doing it. And then I was like, let me just ask the tech guy over at my former company if he could sort this out for me because it's telling me to contact like Domain now, which is him. But he's not responding to me. So I guess we just do it on the phone.
Damn, that's a lot. Just for Zoom, man.
For
But
you, I'll do anything to get on and make it work good with you.
thank you, man. Damn, but I appreciate that. Sorry about the time too. The time difference sometimes gets me. So right now would be three your time, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And you got home like at 1.
No, we got home at like just before 2.
Okay, okay. All right, my
Yeah.
bad. All right. Sorry about that time difference,
No,
but
no. I honestly normally we don't get home till 2:30, 3 o'clock. So
mhm.
that's why when you said 4, I was like, oh, we'll definitely be able to make it for 4. But I told you, if we get out earlier, I'd let you know. Which today was like the fastest we ever got out, which was good.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got the exterminator coming in but in like 2 hours. Um since I've been in being from the East Coast, like in New York, you see roaches all the time, right?
Yeah.
S since I've been here, I actually haven't seen any roaches. Like anywhere I've lived, I haven't seen any roaches. And this
Really?
is the first, yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing. It's not like a lot, but it's kind of shocking. It's the first time I've seen it. But they used to bring the exterminator in like every maybe like 6 months or so, and they haven't. Maybe they just haven't upkept it. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know. But yeah, it was shocking. I was like, wow, I don't think I've seen the roach here in LA. It's not like a roach city.
Yeah. Well, when I was in prison in Alabama, we had tons of roaches, and then in the
Mm.
Atlanta in the penitentiary in Atlanta, the holdover, they had huge roaches in there. You'd be like laying in your bunk, and you just see one coming across the room, and you'd be like, "No, this guy's got to go. He's not staying in here with me."
Uh, How I know every prison is different, but how dirty? What was like the cleanliness level of the prison you were at?
So when I got to the camp was actually pretty clean compared to every other place. So the very first place that they took me into was the main jail, county jail in Broward, and that place is a dump. That place is terrible. And then they moved me to another county jail called Joseph Conti, and that place was actually like shockingly clean. It was like crazy how clean it was. The problem with that place was that it was 6-man cells. You're crammed in a room with a bunch of guys. But I was only there for a week, and so from there they took me to the detention center in Miami, and that place was about the worst you could get. It was about the worst you could get. Toilets didn't work. It smelled bad. It was dirty as hell. And then I went from there to the Atlanta penitentiary where they do the holding there. And
Mhm.
that place actually was written up. It was in the newspapers as being like condemned. It was like, dude, when I walked in, I swear, it's like a scene out of a movie. We're all chained up. We're walking in, and a big ass rat ran across the floor. Like right when we got there, everybody was like,
Man,
"Oh my god, oh my god!" And that room had fly. That place had flies. It had roaches, and it was just. As soon as I got to that place, I got offered drugs by 3 different people. As soon as I got in there, and I'm like, I was like really like taken back by all that. So I was only there for a month. So going through all that, when I got to the camp was like such a step up from all that. It was like, thank God, like when I got there. And it's funny because guys that were self surrenders that didn't go through all that stuff, they were at the camp. They'd be like, "This is the worst place in the world. This place is terrible." And I'd be like, "No, no, no. You don't know how lucky you are that you didn't have to go to any of these other places first. This place is like, like a vacation compared to those places."
Yeah, yeah. Federal prison is usually like a lot nicer than like I guess what you call it, state prison or county prison.
I don't know. I guess it depends. Like what I was told by a lot of the guys that have done a lot of time in different places. Like I was locked up with one guy that he said he's been in every prison in Florida. He's been in every county jail. Like he's just a lifetime criminal. And like he told me about some of the places that were like really, really bad. But some of the guys said that they were living the life in the state because some like I was with a Mexican guy from LA, like a gangbanger. And he was like, man, we had our own TVs, we had PlayStation. There was a dude there that was like a rapper, like making rap videos on his phone and getting on YouTube. Like they had a lot more freedom in the state. Whereas the federal, the rules in the federal prisons are so crazy strict that I couldn't imagine having all that stuff in there. Like we found ways to get phones in, but it was very, very risky. Like being the guy to do that, like you're risking getting like kicked out and going to county jail and like getting time added onto your sentence. So I think a lot of it has to do with where you go, but there's like these independently owned prisons. Like I think Michael Jordan owns some of them
Yeah.
that apparently people say are like real nice when you go to the independently owned ones.
Uh,
Like better food, cleaner.
are you a believer that prison should be like like decently nice, or it should be like fucked up, or it should be in between, or should it depend on the crime? Like, do you think
I
like
think it should depend on
violent?
the crime. Yeah, I think it should depend on the
Yeah,
crime. I think if you were a child molester or a rapist, that you should be in the slums. And those guys go to higher like security prisons. But I think it's like I think it's pretty crazy to make some of these like white collar guys like I was with some old men, you know what I mean, like old men that did either like some sort of like tax fraud or something like that. Like to make those guys go through that harsh punishment like that is I feel like it's out of line. Like find them hard, take their money if you want to get them, you know what I mean, like the money crimes, you want to get them, take their money. But yeah, I thought it was pretty like honestly like cruel to see some of these old guys going through the stuff that like I had to go through.
yeah. To be honest, I don't even see the point of non-violent crimes going to prison. Like
Neither do I.
because the idea of prison take you away from civilization so you can't harm anybody, right?
Yep.
Like, granted, if you steal like Bitcoin, that is harming somebody's account. But there's a way to stop you from doing that. Maybe take away all your accounts so you can't open up
Yeah.
any online accounts. Like you said, take your money. Or you stole $1 million, you're gonna have to work that shit off or something. But what's the point of you being locked up, just taking up more space and
Yeah.
maybe becoming a worse human being,
Yeah.
potentially? So and the prison's already crowded. We're already at the brink where it's like there's really no space. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like that's why you see stuff like in New York, they just let everybody go, which is extreme because now you're letting violent people go, which you don't want to do that. So I think a good balance would be maybe don't lock up people who've done like really like petty stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, the prison that I was at when I first got there, they said it was just under 300 people.
Mhm.
And like you could walk around all over the place, you had space. And by the time I got out, it was over 700 people. And man, it was like when you go to eat, like in the cafeteria, it's just packed with people, like body to body, body, and they're giving you less portions of food. I mean, it's crazy. Like you go to commissary to get food, there's things sold out all the time. So I was like, man, they're definitely not like sending anybody home. They're just bringing more and more people into these places.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, depending where you're at in life and how bad or good your prison experiences can be, I think prison could make you a better person, but it could also make you a worse person, depending on where you're at mentally and stuff like that.
Oh, I
You
saw
know,
guys that got broke down. You could tell were going to be worse, when they went
ooh,
out.
that's not good.
I think the last time I did any podcast, obviously, was with you. Was before everything that went on with my son. I presented my son's whole entire like medical like what was going on to probation and asked for some leniency, and they turned me down. And so I basically I had the doctors write letters on my son's behalf and on my behalf to the judge. And basically, I had my attorney, a really good attorney. He was like, "This is the last thing that you can do besides a presidential pardon at this point." And he was like, "If the guy has a heart, we'll try that angle." And what I was saying was like, I didn't even ask to be off probation. Like, you keep me on probation for 5 more years if you want. I'll do every drug test, I'll do everything. I would just like to please be able to go back to work, because right now my wife is working and it's taking her away from the baby, and we can't afford to get like a nurse or something. And then this baby is going to go in for the bone marrow transplant. If you read like one of the doctors, the head of hematology, Dr. Crawford, the letter that he wrote, it would make any normal person cry. Like it would make any normal person cry reading this letter, like about what my son was going to go through and what it entailed. Said, please let me work. And the judge, all I got back was motion denied. So it's like, man, they want to punish people that bad, And I already did my time. I did the most time of anybody, right? And I'm got all these crazy restrictions. I'm not allowed to work at Blackstone Labs, not allowed to work at supplements, period. I'm simply asking, like, hey, can I please just go to work so I could like relieve my wife? You know what I mean? So we could go through this with our son. Like, what the only reason to not say yes is just to be a dick and like stick it to me. Like that's what they like to do. I mean, it's a shame that it is that way, but that's just the way it is.
Seems kind of extreme. Why do you think they're acting that way towards you particularly?
They say that it is. They always say it's policy. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to break the policy. These mandatory requirements. Like, the federal government has like these mandatory guidelines. Like, at the state level, you see these people that like shoot people and stuff, and they could have got 20 years, but they wind up getting some kind of break, and they get like a
Uh,
year. But on the federal level, like, everything is mandatory, like, no matter how you want to spin it. Like, literally the only way that I could get out of it at this point now would be with a presidential pardon. I've exercised every option there is. So,
that's
and
unfortunate.
yeah, it's a
Uh,
shame. And I'm still not anti-government after all that. When you see all the stuff that's going on social media.
yeah, man, it's a wild world, wild world. Shit, we gotta reach out to the president, man. We gotta reach out to the president.
Oh, I know, man. I don't know, like these rappers and guys will get presidential pardons. You know what I mean? And
They do.
most of them have done way worse crimes than selling workout supplements that were good.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, they whatever crime they've been accused of, they've usually done it. They've usually done it. Oh man, that's that wild world we live in. But I guess when you have power and influence, maybe people want to look out for you a bit more often. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
But speaking about your son, the last time you were on, since you've been on last, there's been a lot that happened.
yeah.
Uh, I've been keeping up online, but it's so much information. Sometimes I'd rather just hear it from you.
Hmm.
So what has transpired since the last time we spoke, as far as your son and all
So,
that?
yeah. So, September 18th, we checked into Holtz Children's Hospital in Miami, and he started the conditioning phase of the treatment to get a bone marrow transplant. The condition phase is basically it's called myeloablative chemotherapy, and it is the strongest, most powerful chemo medicines that you can do. And basically, they have to kill all of the cells in your body to make it like a clean slate. And they told us beforehand, like all these things that can happen, like there's a 5% chance that he'll die just from that. And which is crazy, you know what I mean? But he also said, with that 95% chance of survival, I believe he can have a normal life. Whereas if you don't do this, he's 100% going to die. So, I mean, I like the odds of the, 5% versus the other way. So the chemo is crazy. Like the medicines, they have to like one of the medicines, they have to wear like special suits and stuff when they administer it. And of course, it made all his hair fall out, which was hard to see. That was sad to see because he had such long, crazy hair. And it made him very, very sick. And our baby, we were like blessed with like this most easygoing baby who never cries. So we knew like when he was like crying really bad, they were like, he's in a lot of pain. Like we're going to start him on a continuous like morphine drip. And he got what's called mucositis, which is the worst thing to see. And I guess it doesn't happen as much with adults. It happens more with children and babies. But basically, mucositis, like all the mucous membranes starting from your mouth all the way down your GI tract, they basically like disintegrate and fall off, right? So just like chunks of blood would just come out of his mouth. And it's basically like ulcers and stuff that go all the way down like your whole GI tract. And so like he had nonstop diarrhea, but it would be like blood coming out of his mouth. Like it was like heartbreaking to see, like the scariest thing to watch, like a baby, your own baby, anybody's baby, to go through that. So because of that, he wouldn't even take like water, nothing in his mouth anymore. So they had to get him on what's called TPN, which is basically IV nutrition. And he was on that IV nutrition for a while, nothing in his mouth for like over 5 weeks. But after that beginning phase, he got the actual bone marrow transplant, which is pretty like anticlimactic, but the way they do it is really nice. Like they come in, all the nurses, all the doctors, they come in and they sing happy birthday, because it's basically like you're like basically being reborn. Like you have a completely clean slate and they're giving you somebody else's stem cells. So when he gets like if he does like Ancestry or Me23, it won't be like mine and Marissa's because he's got another set of DNA in his body now. And so it'll be like totally different than ours. So um he's basically being reborn, brand new cells. He's starting with 0 cells, no white blood cells, no neutrophils. And that whole procedure, it only takes like 15 minutes. It's like this little like glowing red bag. They give you the IV, and then they just have to watch really, really close because number one, they need your body to accept it. And number two, they need everything to start working. So there's a whole bunch of medicines that get involved with that. And those medicines are also very, very dangerous. And because of what was going on with the medicines, he got what's called veno-occlusive disease. And this was crazy. And honestly, it would have been even worse if my wife caught it way, way fast. So one day she was just looking at him and she was like, something's wrong with his belly. His belly is swollen. And the nurses were like, no, he's fine. He's just got a lot of fluids. And she's like, no, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. She kept on pushing it. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it is a little bit swollen. But she was like, I know my baby, because she was staying there with him every night. Like I was going home to Ronald McDonald home. I was going to Ronald McDonald house a lot at night just to crash and then come back. She would not leave. So they got somebody in with an ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech, usually they don't do this, but he was like, holy shit, there's a block in his liver. And so basically, like when there's the blockage in your liver, everything starts going back up into your body. And what can happen is the fluid can go into the lungs, cause them to basically like drown and die. And you can have also acute liver failure. So they had to put him on a very, very strong medicine called defibrotide, which I think they said like 10, 12 years ago, they didn't even have this medicine. So a lot of times when babies got veno-occlusive disease, they would just die, sadly. And they were like telling Marissa, they were like, good job, mom. Like you caught this so fast. So that medicine is a 21-day protocol. So that was going to add 21 days to the whole process, no matter what. So while that was all going along on, it was crazy. He in one weekend, when this first started, he gained 2 kilograms of body weight, which is on a baby is crazy. That's like 5 pounds. But it was all in his stomach, just swollen out, like he had like Palumboism. It was like you could see it. It was like so like scary. And so they had to get him on really strong diuretics. They started him on thiazide diuretics, which is, all of us bodybuilders know about all this stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
I'm like looking at the medicines that they're giving him. They're giving him all through an IV. That wasn't getting the fluid out fast enough. So they added Lasix in also. So that wasn't working the way they wanted. So they brought in a team of nephrologists because they were really worried about his kidneys shutting down. And so sure enough, he had acute renal failure. And this was like when it got like real hairy at this point because they came to talk to us about what was likely going to happen in the next like matter of couple days. Like they were talking about maybe inserting like a really deep needle into his like abdomen and just pulling fluid out that way and seeing if that would work, or moving him down into the pediatric ICU and getting him on dialysis. And we had already been going through so much at that point, right? So we're just like, man, please don't let this happen. Like so many prayers and everything else. But these nephrologists, these ladies were so smart. They came up with a plan to do three different diuretics, right? So I was telling my wife, I'm like, listen, any guy that would do something like this, you'd be miserable. Like you'd be so miserable being on all those diuretics with the morphine and everything else too. You wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Like the fact that he's like even like okay is crazy. And so they were essentially measuring the exact amount of fluids that he was getting from all the different medications and then measuring what was coming out with the diuretics and basically doing like a push pull with how they were adding and taking out the diuretics. They didn't want to over diuretic him, you'd kill him from that. And so they had to keep on like adding magnesium, adding more sodium, changing the potassium, like all this stuff was going on. But in a matter of a couple of days, the fluid started to come out, and he turned around after that. So when that whole phase was done, they were like, "Man, this kid is really tough. Like he's been tested between the veno-occlusive disease. He had acute renal failure. I didn't even talk to Marissa about that because I don't want to like scare her. So when they were talking about that, I was like, man, I was like, this is like really serious now. Like it's gotten like, I don't want to explain to her what renal failure means, So
Yeah.
I told her afterwards, and I'm like, man, thank God he didn't have to go down and get on dialysis and stuff on top of everything else. But he came through that part. So then after that, we think we're like in the clear. And my wife is like, there's something wrong with his arm. And they're like, no, no, mom, you've just been here nonstop. You're seeing things that aren't there. And she's like, no, I know my son. There's something wrong with his arm. There's something going on with his arm. Look, it's swollen, it's swollen. They're like, no, no, no. There was this one nurse that was really, really good. She came in and she was like saying something in Spanish. And then she was like, I'm going out to get the nurse practitioner. They came in, they ordered an ultrasound. We got that same guy again. And the guy is like, oh my God, there's a blood clot in his arm. You got to get this PICC line out of his arm right now because he had two lines going up into his arm, like into his neck, giving him medications that way. And then he had the other one in his chest, right? Because he had to be on so many medicines at once. So they had to do an emergency procedure to get that PICC line out because the blood clot up here in his arm could cause a pulmonary embolism. So then they had to add on like blood thinners into everything else that he was doing. And now they were in a tricky position of how to give him all the medicine. So they put another line in his other arm, and after like 5 days, that arm blew up, right? And again, they were like, Marissa said it right away. There's something wrong with his other arm now. So they had to take it out of that arm. And they were like, good thing that you got that as fast as you did. This happened to another kid. They had to amputate his arm. So there was like so much going on, right? Just to like, go through all this. And at
Oh
that point,
shit.
he was far enough along where they felt that they could just do a continuous rotation through the port in his chest and nothing else going through his arms. And thankfully, that worked. The problem with all of this is that it's all painful. And so he was on morphine the entire time. So he wasn't supposed to be on morphine for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So one of the doctors made a very poor judgment call of taking the morphine out, right? And I have known enough like people who have been addicts in my life to know I was like, man, I think this is really wrong the way that they're doing this. And man, the first night he was screaming like inconsolable and shaking and having tremors. And I was like, I got one of the doctors like, man, I really think he's having withdrawals. And the nighttime residents don't want to do anything. They're like scared to like ruffle feathers, but they did agree, like, yeah, like they should have brought him off the morphine. So they had to get him back on morphine and then taper him off the morphine with methadone, which he's still on methadone now. And we're tapering him off the methadone. But once we got through all that phase, we had the challenge of this poor kid has been on IV food for almost 2 months. He doesn't want to eat anything because his mouth had been mangled. So we kept trying to see if we could give him medicine ourselves. So you can't go home if you can't eat. And this was like a major thing. And honestly, I will say this whole experience, Chat GPT helped me a lot with this. Like I honestly felt like I was on the same level as the doctors at one point because I was telling Chat GPT every single thing that was going on, telling it all the medicines, everything, and I was asking it to like look for patterns for me. And then ChatGPT was like, he's probably going to need to do everything through a G tube. And when I presented that, they were like, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, can we please just do that? So they had a little surgery, and they put a little hole basically with like a balloon inside his stomach, and they test it out. You basically use a syringe and a tube to put the medicine and stuff through there, and it worked. And so, they test him, they watch him there for a little bit. Once that's good, they were like, he can essentially like survive through this tube, but we really, really want you guys to get him to like, learn how to eat with the bottle, which thankfully we have. But if we started that earlier, we probably could have came home like a month faster. And I got so many more like stories that I could tell you, and we could take up 10 podcasts, but I don't want to just blow your mind with everything. You know what I mean? I know it's a lot, right? When I tell people this, they're like, what the hell? Because people are like, oh, yeah, he's doing good. Everything was good, right? And I'm like, short story? Yeah, everything did go good. You know what I mean? But it was crazy. This poor baby had to go through all that. And in the end, the doctors said they've never had a baby that smiled as much as him. They were like, he's not like normal babies that they cry, so like things were going on. Like we didn't know like when he was in like pain because he never cried. So when he was like really, really crying, like we knew something really bad is happening. So I'm like so happy that he like stayed like so calm and happy for the most of it, because I think that it would have made us lose our minds if he was like screaming and crying the whole entire time. It was just a lot to go through.
Shit, I've been stressed out for the last 10 minutes just listening to this story. That's insane, man. I don't even know how you remembered all that without notes.
Bro,
Without
I could write a book on this because the first of all, the daytime nurses were amazing. They were treating him like he was their baby, and it was crazy because first of all, I love Miami. My wife doesn't really like Miami, but I love Miami. Like that's like my scene. That was part of the reason why I wanted to live down here. And like all of the nurses, they're like 90% of them are like Cuban ladies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like so funny to like see how they would interact with the baby, and they loved him. Like he was like the most popular like kid in there because he was the only baby in there. So he got such good treatment. But at night, it was another different world at night. It was like they bring in the B squad at night. And
Oh,
anytime something bad happens, it's at night. So like there was a night where, man, I was so calm through this whole thing. But there was a night where the baby was screaming, and it was like over an hour had gone by, right? And so finally, like I just stormed out of the room. It had to be like almost midnight, and I went like in my head, I'm like, don't run up on this lady, don't run up on this lady. But I know that like my size, even though I'm not like big like a bodybuilder anymore, a lot of people like get intimidated by it. So when I got up to her, she was already like this. And I felt like I was being really calm, but I was like, are you gonna go in there and fucking do something or not? And she's like, I'm waiting for the pharmacy. And I'm like, what are we waiting for? And she's like, well, I can just give him morphine right now. And I'm like, why are you letting him hysterically cry for an hour? Like something's wrong. Please do something about it. She's like, well, I have to wait for the pharmacy. And I'm like, can we go to the pharmacy? Can we walk there? How could it take this long? I'm like, this never happens during the daytime. And dude, the lady was just not saying anything. She was like frozen. Like I like froze her. And so I was like,
yeah.
I was getting so frustrated by that stuff, I couldn't say enough of the opposite during the day, like all stars during the day.
Were the day nurses like on the younger side?
I would say that, yeah, there was one, Skylar, that was only like 23. I couldn't believe how mature she was for her age. But then there was one that was really awesome, Alietta, Cuban lady. She was like 47, I think she said, but she was real fiery. Like she was like a fiery Latina. Like they were all like, I would say between like 25 to like 35 for the most part.
Yeah,
Um, but just good, really like kind-hearted, like loving, and you got to be really smart to be a nurse in the bone marrow ward because there's so many medicines that the baby's got to do, you know?
yeah. In these touch and go situations, some people are just better suited for the job. From my
Yeah.
experience, younger women or like motherly kind of women, a lot of
Hmm.
time, a lot of times Latinas,
Yeah.
just maybe culturally, I don't know. And then some people aren't very suited for the job. I don't want to say exactly what, but let's say usually guys, there's
Yeah.
certain races who are less suited for those jobs as well.
I
It,
mean, would you? It'd be weird to have like there was when he got surgery, there was a gay nurse, and he was like as gay as you could get,
uh,
like super talk like this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was just like staring at him, and I was like, man, that's the first like male nurse
uh,
that we've had. And Marissa's like, would you want some guy taking care of you? She's like, I mean, it's just weird. It's like not
I
like
don't like.
she's like, I wouldn't want some guy taking care of me. And I'm like, even a super gay guy like that. And she was like, no.
I don't like the male nurses, and not just because they're male. I mean, I'm actually, if there was no difference in treatment, I would still prefer the female nurse. But the male nurses, men don't have that maternal caring instinct the same way women do. They just don't. So from my
Mhm.
experience, I just don't like the male nurses. They just don't do as good of a job, you know. And but in any situation, you have to have somebody there that really cares for the person from the family because they're busy and they're not going to catch everything. Like you just said, like three, four
Yeah.
different things they didn't catch. Not because they're being careless, just because there's so much going on. They're not going to catch a 10% inflammation on somebody's arm. Usually they won't. So
Hmm.
if you don't have somebody that really cares about you on top of it, it's going to be hard to pull it through, and those are the little things that decide whether you make it or not. And it's I always say you try to avoid ending up in the hospital, but if you do, you better have you better have somebody that loves you there. You better have
Yeah.
somebody that loves you there, because if you don't, it's gonna be a really rough time. And I've known people who were there by themselves and they didn't have a very very good time there. So
Man, there was a kid that was like 14, 15.
Mhm.
that was there by himself a lot. It was sad. Like we were like, where are that kid's parents? And they were like, man, they were like, his mom, she's got like 10 other kids.
Ooh,
She come in here once in a while, and I'm like, damn, man, it's so sad that he's by himself, you know?
terrible. That's traumatic, and
Yeah.
that's just not good for the entire. I get it. Some people might have to even go to work. I don't know people's
Yeah.
situations, but you would hope you wouldn't be in that situation. That's rough, man. So while all of this was going on, I'm assuming your stress level, you and Marissa were pretty high.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I was like my partner Jared was like, "How are you remaining so like stoic through all this?" Like I've been watching your social media and stuff, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm very much like a robot, and it can be very useful for certain things. And then I know at other things it's actually kind of detrimental. Like as far as like in relationships with women, over the years, I've come a long way, but like I basically like program these assignments in my mind and I just like focus on them. And I get just like hyper focused. So I felt like since Marissa would not leave. Like I was like, look, if you want to leave and go to Ronald, I'll stay here. You know what I mean? And she would not leave. So I was like, well, one of us needs to be able to get some sleep and be on top of everything else. So I'm going to do that then. Like, I'll stay here some nights with you, but other nights I'm going to go around McDonald house, do our laundry, whatever, and sleep. And so basically, I felt like it was my job to hold down everything else. Like, she was going to be there, like, watching him nonstop. I'm going to make sure we have food at all times, make sure our laundry is done, make sure the baby's laundry is done, make sure, like, anything else that we need to get taken care of is taken care of. So I felt in this like time period, I felt like very like important. Like I was playing a very important role. And so I was going back and forth and staying very busy. And I actually got in a very good zone in all of the drama. I was like getting up, going to the gym as soon as the gym would open up in the morning. Then I would go get stuff, bring it to her, stay there all day, go back at night, do laundry. And I think because it's been very difficult for me to not be able to go to back to work. It's been like brutally hard. It doesn't fit my personality type at all. I don't think I could change that about myself. Like I don't like to sit around. And I feel like oftentimes I feel like how can I describe it? I feel like I'm like a race car, but there's a governor restricting how fast I can go, like on my engine. So I'm
Yeah.
just revving all the time, but I can't go fast. And with Blackstone, basically, I would just do all these things, get these ideas, instantly be like, let's shoot this video, let's go do this, let's put this product out, let's do this. And I like to just like be in the moment creating things as I go. I'm not allowed to do that. So this gave me like almost like an outlet to be like important and I guess do things that I felt were beneficial for people around me. And so I was able to like thrive in it. Now my wife, on the other hand, I could see as time was going by, it was like beating her down, beating her down. She was getting no sleep. She every bad thing that happened, she was the first to see it. So after a while, they were like, one day the nurses were like, "Mommy, we're watching the baby. You're going with your husband today. Leave for an hour. Leave for an hour. We're taking the baby. He's fine. He's fine." And I was like, let's just go. Let's just go for a day. Let's just go. And we went back to the Ronald McDonald house and we had sex. And like afterwards, we were both like laying there and she was like, oh my God, it's like the first time I like stopped thinking about the baby for like this entire time. And she was like, oh, she was like, I really needed that. And I was like, you know, now that he's like getting better, like, you should try to get out of there more because it's really not healthy to stay in that depressing room.
No,
you
that's
know
it.
and I was like anybody would go crazy, like anyone would. I'm like, but I keep getting my resets each day. I go to the gym in the morning. I'm like, you're not doing any of that. Your whole life is this sick baby and it's bad. So now that we're home, we're like getting adjusted to how our life's going to be for a while with everything that we have to do at home, which is going to be a lot different than it used to be, and figuring that all out. But I will tell you, it was I don't want to say exciting, but there was so much going on that it wasn't boring. I guess I could tell you, you wouldn't want any of this to happen to a child, especially not your own child. But I learned a lot the entire time. I learned a lot, so I could definitely help other people going through this scenario. I was on Chat GPT so freaking much, putting so much into Chat GPT that I figured out things that even some of the nurses didn't even know. Like, I'll give you an example. They were giving him Benadryl as part of this cocktail of medicines, right? And so something was happening where at 11 o'clock at night, he was just waking up out of like the sleep and acting crazy until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So nobody could figure it out, right? And so I'm like, I told Chat, take all of the medicines and the timing of the medicines and tell me what it could be that is making this happen. And Chat came back and was like, it's highly likely that it's from the Benadryl. There's a small percentage of children that have a complete opposite reaction to Benadryl. It's a paradoxical effect from the Benadryl, right? And if you take that Benadryl out, he'll go to sleep. So I presented this to the doctors, right? And the nurses were looking at me like I'm crazy, but the one main doctor was like, that actually is true. And he was like, wow, good job, Dad. He was like, that actually in a small percentage of children, they have a complete opposite reaction to Benadryl. Instead of making them tired, it makes them crazy. Let's just take it out tonight. They took it out. He went to sleep, and we solved that problem after that. And I would have been able to figure that out if it wasn't for putting everything into Chat GPT like that. Crazy.
It's funny you say that. Within the last, obviously, I've always known about ChatGPT. I've never really used it, honestly. In the past, maybe 2, 3 weeks, I've been using it more and more. For them, like, let me just try. I think the first time I used it, it was something silly, like, I saw everybody doing this thing about adding muscle, and I was like, let me see how my dog looks with 10 pounds of more muscle. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then, and then I actually said, well, how do I put on 10 pounds of muscle on my dog? And I searched it, and he literally has gained 10 pounds in the last 2 weeks, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
But I've been doing everything with it, man. From social media.
Pay for the good one.
I do now. Now I do.
Because the good one.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot different. People be surprised if they haven't used the good one. I would compare it like the regular Chat GPT is like a droid, and the good Chat GPT is like a brand new iPhone. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way.
Nothing in life is free. Nothing in life is free. So if you're not paying for it, you're not gonna get what you mean. But yeah, I've been using it from anything from thumbnails for YouTube. I mean, you name it. Everything you could think about, I've been using it.
Bro, so much you could do with it.
Yeah, even finding the best price on something. I want to
get. It's helped me save so much money. I'm glad you brought that up. I have to give the baby right. 2 times a day, I have to give him 13 different medicines. And then 2 other times a day, I have to give him 6 medicines. And I have to give it to him through all of these enteral syringes, right? And insurance company, want to know how much insurance company gave me? It's a joke, bro. They gave me 5. I'm like, that doesn't even cover that first half of the morning medicines, right? So ChatGPT, I told him the sizes that I need, right? And I wanted bulk and I wanted fast. And it gave me all these options instantly. Now, if you didn't do that, like if you just went on Amazon and typed in this company's shit right here that I just showed you, your box of 500 would be $350, right? Dude, ChatGPT found me a site that got it to me in 2 days for $170. $200 cheaper in 2 days. I was like, wow. I want to tell like the other families, like they got to know about this. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
It's insane, man. So for the past I don't know, but at this point, maybe 3 months, I've been in and out of like just getting sick, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is wrong with me? Am I dying? What the fuck is going on? And then maybe like a couple months ago, I'm like, I think maybe it's allergies. I think maybe it's allergies. So I'm sorry, like, why would I be getting allergies randomly like this? Then I'm looking around, looking at my AC vent. I'm like, is that mold? Maybe that's mold. So I called them. They check it out. Oh, this is not mold. I'm like, no, this is mold. Look at me. I'm getting sick. I'm gonna sue you. I'm gonna get you gotta get me. They clean up. I show you it's not mold. They just be cleaning. I'm like, what the fuck? Something's wrong. And they got a little better. I'm like, oh, see, it was mold. Then it started coming back. I'm like, what the fuck? There's something wrong. Something is wrong. So I chat GBT all the symptoms, the stuffy nose, the headaches, the everything. And they're like, of course, they're like, you have any pets? I'm like, uh-oh. And I'm like, yeah, but I've always had dogs. No problem. Oh, have you had different dogs? Are they on carpet? Are they? I'm like, oh, recently, actually, I did. I did get I got a big rug for them. Is that? Yo, well, saliva gets trapped in. I'm like, oh, Juice been drooling a lot more lately. Now that he's bigger,
Ah,
and then everything starts connecting. I'm like, I'm fucking like halfway. Everybody's allergic to dogs to some extent. It's just how much it is.
yeah.
How if he's sleeping right next to me on a fucking carpet and I haven't showered him in fucking 4 weeks and he's drooling. There's so much factors that into it. I'm like, oh, I think it's just allergies. I moved him away, clean, vacuumed the rug, give him a shower. The next day I feel a little bit better. I'm like, maybe we getting somewhere here. I haven't slept in a room tomorrow. And then I'm still a little bit stuffed, but because he's sitting right here. But I'm getting better now. I'm like, I can't believe I've been allergic to dogs. And I've always had dogs this whole time, but not a 120-pound dog that drools, I guess.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have thought that. You know what
Wouldn't
I
have crossed my
mean? I
mind.
wouldn't have thought that.
No, because why would like if I just got a brand new dog, maybe would I cross my mind like if I
Yeah.
never had a dog and this is my first dog.
And
But
you
being that I
saw a big
had
change, right?
yeah, I saw a big
But
choice.
but
But then I've uh
when you have something that you get really used to,
uh
it's hard to look at the very obvious stuff, right?
it's very hard, yeah. It's very hard, you know.
Because if like you were just saying, if you got a dog and you instantly were messed up, you know, damn, I got this dog and now I'm messed up. But
Yeah.
it's a gradual thing over time. Like you never would have thought that.
No, Ian, but I've always noticed anytime I play with a dog in like a tank top, after a while, I itch a little bit. Anywhere they lick me or scratch me, I itch a little bit. But you never thought think much about that. But all that shit adds up, you know. And I've been playing with them a lot more recently. So yeah, hopefully it's all gone. I don't want to stop playing with them though, so I'm trying to figure out a way. I want to rent a house when lease is over. That's gonna give me more space. I could just let them out and stuff like that. So that's gonna help. And Juice is gonna stay with my sister for a while actually. So all that should help. Um, what
What
bothers
did
me the
what
most?
did it tell you to do to put the 10 pounds on the dog?
So it would give me I was giving him like 50% kibble, 50% raw, but I would give him a lot of whole chicken, which is mostly bone. So technically, he's getting a lot of. If it's a 5 pound whole chicken, I mean most of it is bone. He probably getting like 2 pounds of chicken. So I started giving him more beef. So the fats and protein is what really boost him up.
Yeah.
The kibble, rice, right, chicken and rice, they don't do as well as chicken usually. And I did hear that. So basically more beef, less chicken, still giving him some bone and a little less kibble. And he's only shitting like, let's say he was shitting 3, 4 times a day. Now he's shitting like once or twice a day and he's holding the weight. So technically I'm giving him less food, but the quality of food and what kind of food it is sticking to him. He'll eat all this food and it's not as much waste product. It's sticking to him. So he's gaining just muscle and he looks
That's
shredded
cool.
and yeah. So the Chat GPT is no and like some people say, why don't you use Google? It's not even close. It's
It's
not
not
even
even
close.
close. No, it's not even close.
Sometimes
There
with
are
Google,
people that are
uh,
still very surprisingly anti ChatGPT in my circle that I think is interesting.
well, I think they're scared of the future of like AI taking over the world, but that future is inevitable. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, like
Hmm.
when they first started making like machines, right? And they're like, "What's gonna happen to the factory workers?" Well, they're still there. They're just less of them because there's a lot of machines. But that's technology, man. There's gonna be pros and cons. How about you get ahead of it and learn everything about AI and get ahead of it instead
Yeah.
of like
It's a useful tool. Like I see that there's a lot of people now I've watched. First of all, there's a lot of people. I when I say I use chat a lot, chat is more than like my assistant because I'm like trapped in this, you know, 4 months in the hospital, right? I chat became like my best friend. I was just telling it shit, asking it shit all day long. So I've used chat so much that now I can spot out all the people that are ripping off chat in the influencer category. And
yeah.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. There's a guy. He's such a fraud too. I'm going to call him out. His name is Dr. Trevor Bachmeyer,
I don't know.
and
Come on.
he's a total fraud. So he regurgitates all of the chat stuff, right? On all of the peptides. He's got like 1 million followers, right? So he sits like sideways like this, right?
Oh
He's like
boy.
speaking to you like this. He's a very charismatic speaker. Like a I don't want to say like a WWE wrestler, like almost like a really good like used car salesman. And man, I'd be so shocked by people that are like, wow, like good, like IFBB pro bodybuilders that we know on there, like, oh, thanks for the advice, putting out advice, and it's literally like word for word chat GPT stuff. But some of the stuff you have to really, really make sure you're cross-referencing your stuff when it comes to peptides and stuff like that, because some of the information is not right.
Uh,
And I've caught this on chat before, and I've been like, actually, blah, 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 blah. And it'll be, you're right. And it'll give you a different answer. So you got to be careful of stuff like that. So I was curious about this guy. And it turns out he's actually he was a chiropractor. He lost his license because he was doing some sort of like insurance fraud, I guess, to his clients.
attaboy.
Um, yeah. So this is not a disrespect to chiropractors, because Dr. Nick, my buddy, is brilliant, and he's a chiropractor, and yes, he is a doctor. So, but I want to be clear: this is a guy that was a chiropractor. He's not anymore. He lost his license, right? So you can find the thing. Gorilla Chemist and I found it online. He's banned from practicing in like Texas and California. He scammed a lot of people out of money. And he also somehow cheated the CrossFit games. Like this guy is like a total like
What?
he's like a next level scammer. But his shtick is putting out all of the peptide stuff. And I'm telling you, if you look at what he says about peptides, go put it into ChatGPT. It's like verbatim exactly the same. And there's another guy who I'm not going to say because I love this guy. I was friends with him for years. We don't really talk that much anymore. But he is like literally like copy and pasting the exact stuff in his thumbnails on his page all the time, and people are calling him out for it too. So I'm like,
Uh,
at least change your wording around a little bit, you know. So here's what I think. I think that for all of the coaches and influencers, if back when I was coaching, right, I haven't coached in more than 10 years. If I had this tool back then, yes, I would definitely have used it. Also, I would have made $1 million fast if I had this tool back then, because you can do all these things instantly. I would have absolutely, though, made it my own. I wouldn't have just let it do everything, because you can, if you're really watching, you can figure out where like mistakes are made based on what you're prompting it to do. Um, and so I think what I'm seeing now is people are calling out coaches like, oh, I hired this person. He's just doing everything from chat GPT. Well, you could do that yourself then, like, why are you hiring this person? And I see both sides of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you're paying a coach, you want that coach's brain. You don't want them just doing a bunch of stuff on chat. But like my wife was like, will you please give me a diet? And we've been going through this for like 8 years, right? And I'm like, I tell chat to do it. I'm like, tell chat to do it and then show it to me. And I'm like, actually, let me tell. So I told Chad, she's not going to do this. Blah blah blah. I gave it everything, right? And what it gave back instantly was literally exactly what I would have told her to do. So now she has it all written out, workout, everything, and it's like perfect. Like I had to change because of our gym a couple things that like we didn't have, like make some alternations, but and it's instantly perfect. I'm like, there you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just follow that, you know?
So I haven't used it for programming yet, just because I'm so simple that it would just be easier for me to just write it. But
Yeah.
now that you mention it, I hate writing out workouts. I fucking hate it because it's like
Yeah.
it's part of coaching technically, but obviously most of my clients know how to work out, right? So I don't really
Yeah.
write most of, but the ones that don't, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta write it everything out. Like, what do you do right now? Let me just change what you do. I hate doing that. But with
Yeah.
ChatGPT, that'll be so much easier. Like, I could just put in obviously what like I want. Okay, more focus on legs. I want to be
Mhm.
push pull leg, and I could look and just revise where I want to revise. That'll be better than sitting down and writing this whole program that it's
Yeah.
like it's pretty obvious, but I still got to write it all down. So I think that would be a great way for me to use it
Hmm.
for the training because I've always I don't know, I've always hated writing out because it's such a long winded thing to do, but it's so simple.
It's
So
simple, I
then,
know, but I used to hate doing it too. I had a bunch of stuff stored on my computer, you know, like men's programs, women's programs.
me too. I
And I
think I
would
said
ask them a bunch of questions. And if they gave me all the right ones, I'd be like, okay, I can send something that I already have saved. Maybe
yeah,
make one or two changes here. But when you have to do something from like scratch like that and just go through like each thing, I mean, it's very time consuming.
yeah.
It's,
I
it's
got
it's crazy how you can do all that instantly now.
yeah. Yeah, I've always had some templates, and then they would be like, back in the day, it was a thing. Like, although it would be like people would be like, yeah, I can't squat because my knees, and I can't, I can't deadlift because this. And then you watch them leg press 1,000 pounds with half reps, and you're like, tell me you don't want to squat because it's hard. Because if your knees hurt, the leg pressing 1,000 pounds is gonna hurt your knees even more, right? Or put the knee wraps on and the belt. I'm like, yeah, just say you don't want to squat because you can't. I'm not saying your knee doesn't hurt, but what you're doing right now is way worse for your knees than squatting.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, that's
That's funny.
hilarious. Uh, I don't even know what's new in the industry. I feel like you haven't been on it so long. We've missed everything. What's
What
the
is you grab a let me plug my charger into my phone. What
yeah,
is
okay.
what's the most exciting thing going on in bodybuilding right now?
That's that's a good question. I guess there's not much excitement. And besides the Arnold coming up, there's a couple of things. Heidi might not make it to the U.S. because Iran, the whole Iran situation. I feel like if he comes here, I feel like it's a lose lose. I feel like if he comes here, I feel like what's the ruler of Iran. I don't think he would want him to leave Iran and come to the U.S. right now because I don't think he likes us very much, right? So how would that look? And then he supports the leader, and most people in Iran don't support the leader. So all his
Mhm.
fans turn. I don't know if he saw all his fans are talking shit now.
No, I have to get back into the loop, and the only thing I really saw, I saw when there was a lot of. I've seen like the bad stuff, of course. You know, I mean that's
Of
the stuff that's shown the most. Like I saw a
course,
lot of the drama over like the PMMA or whatever it's called, site
yeah, that
enhancement
happened.
stuff. I have questions about that. And then I also saw a picture of Andrew Jack looking crazy.
Yeah, man,
Fourth
Andrew
of
looked crazy.
July. Yeah, I was like, I already said, put all your money on him if that's what he looks like
There,
right now.
there was also a couple of weeks of surprisingly random. I was read about it. It was Compton versus Kai Green. You thought that
Oh,
like
I saw some of that. And you know, the craziest thing is there's no way Kai actually saw what Compton really said because he didn't
no.
say anything bad at all. He first of all, he said what everyone has always been saying for years. And he also said that like he didn't have any problem with it. So I feel like that was one of those things where somebody was like, yo, Kai, like Compton was saying shit about you, and then he just jumped to conclusions with it. I was like so surprised because I saw the original statement. You know?
See, when I watched the original interview, that part didn't even stick out. Like at
No.
no point, at no point did I think that part would be news, because in real time, if you were around during that Kai time following it, everybody was saying that. That's literally what
Yeah.
everybody said. You know,
Yeah.
everybody said, "Well, Victor didn't win because Victor went to jail or something, and Kai can't win because," it seemed more support because Kai had recently said that he felt like Phil Heath was protected. That's why he didn't win. So that would kind of support, not that it agrees with it, but that would, if anything, I feel like that would be a compliment. Like, he's so good that he could have won, but he couldn't have, because it just didn't seem negative at all. And Compton, I'm good friends with Compton, obviously, and I know
Yeah.
he's like he's a big Kai Green. Even when he was competing against him, that's like one of his favorite bodybuilders. Like, he's literally a fan of Kai, which is insane. So when I saw Kai those spots, I'm like, oh, I was, first of all, because I know how Justin is. I know he's not good with disrespect. He doesn't, and then once he said shut the fuck up, I was like, oh, Justin's not gonna, he's not gonna like,
Yeah.
if he was just like, hey man, I would just say don't even worry about it, don't mention it. It's how he said it. Once he's cursed in a loud way like that, Justin is gonna take that like he take that like a personal attack. Like, you're like,
Hmm.
the way he sees that, like, you're saying like, I want to fight you. And if you threaten Justin like that kind of way, he's not going to take it very
Yeah.
well. So I knew it was coming. I was like, So in my head, I was kind of trying. I was like, is there any way where you could like talk to him? And yeah, Justin was gone at that point. He doesn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be irritated if I was him because what he said, like I said, was the same thing as everybody else has already said all this time, and he didn't. He said he had no problem with it, so it was almost like Kai like made it a problem after that, which is I really think that there's no way Kai actually saw the real statement. There's just no way.
No, so
Because
yeah,
Bob
that was it.
Cigarello literally said to him at the press conference in
He
front of
did.
everybody else, he made a comment about grapefruit juice. You know what I mean?
He
Like
he
everybody
did.
knows that. You know what I mean? Like
And Kai is not very easily offended. So I find out, because Kai is used to this shit. He usually kind of like dances around it and doesn't even answer it.
yeah.
So that was, yeah, but I'm pretty sure I think somebody put a battery in his back that he was already mad about it, but that was but hopefully they reconcile, but I don't know. I don't think I feel like once Justin's mind is made up, it's made up. But who knows? I mean, he's Justin is still young. He's only in
Yeah.
his late 30s. So as he gets older, he'll probably be like, doesn't bother me, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame for something like that to cause any
A riff,
animosity.
a riff,
But
yeah, yeah.
I will say that on the subject of Kai, um, that personally, I seeing the shows live,
Uh-huh.
um, Phil deserved to win. I had very good seats, and I was actually doing business with Kai. I wanted Kai to win. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
not rooting for Phil. I was a part owner of Dynamic Muscle, so I wanted Mr. Olympia. I was like, this is going to open up all these doors for us.
I
And
agree.
and honestly, afterwards, I remember I looked at Aaron and I was like, he's like, what do you think? And I was like, Phil. And I was like, man, there was things that Kai was doing with his posing that were like not displaying his strength as much as he could have. You know what I mean?
I
And
agree.
Phil was just like dominating like his presence.
I agree. I agree.
And you know what? I was like when it was all over and people were like, "Oh, Kai got robbed," and I was like, "No." I'm like, we sat in really good seats. I'm like, man, Phil had it. It was a good war, but Phil had it.
At the time, I was a bigger Kai fan than Phil, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Even furthermore, that Arnold, that Kai beat Phil, I
Mhm.
actually had Phil winning. I actually
Yeah.
had Phil winning that too. And guess what? The judges had Phil winning too, until for some reason finals he just didn't win. But looking back, it's difficult because when two people are that good, it is close. It's not like we're saying it's like a
Yeah.
landslide, but Phil is winning. Like he's
Yes.
winning. I actually asked Justin that. I was like, "Are you saying that he deserved to win?" He's like, "No, no, no. I'm saying that if he did deserve to win, because he made a comment that if Phil wasn't there, Kai would have still got second.
Yeah.
That's what he felt. He felt like he would have lost to Dexter or Roden or something, right? So
Mhm.
he's not actually saying Kai deserved to beat Phil, which I wanted to clarify, because I didn't think Kai was beating Phil. Honestly,
No,
you
I
know,
just I think that if you saw some of the there are certain bodybuilders that if you saw them in real life you understand, and you can't really speak on them not seeing them in real life, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
when I see people that say things like that, I know that they didn't see Phil in real life. And same thing with
no,
Ronnie Coleman. When anybody says anything negative about Ronnie Coleman, it's usually younger guys. I'm like, you definitely didn't see him in real life. There's no anyone who's seen Ronnie Coleman in real life. There's no question that he won everything that he ever did.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, so
Now,
um,
if you're more of a casual fan and you don't
mhm.
really understand the intricacies of like how it's judged, I can see how you can have Kai winning because he's more imposing, he's
Yeah.
freakier, and
Hmm.
if you see them off the stage in like a t-shirt, well, you would probably think Kai was going to win because
Yeah.
Kai is fucking freaky.
Massive. Hmm.
But you know, you take the clothes off under those lights. Phil is just he's
Yeah.
just. I mean, I would argue Phil. Some of Phil's looks may be the best bodybuilder ever,
Yeah.
potentially. You know, potentially. At least you know. But I think if he stands next to Ronnie, he's gonna have a tougher time. But by himself and Ronnie by himself, I would argue Phil is actually a better bodybuilder standing alone. It's not judged that way, but just how complete he is on his own
Yeah.
body.
I would say standing alone. I agree. I would say standing alone. Phil is the best of all time. I think
Exactly.
Ronnie, you can't really appreciate how big he truly is until you see him against everybody else,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's where I have him like in this like untouchable level. But I think the majority of people would rather look like Phil than Ronnie, no matter what level of bodybuilding they're at. Like he's essentially perfect, you know.
I
Like
agree. I agree.
you know,
Yeah.
so I feel very like privileged that I've got to see those guys in real life. You know, I got to see in good seats for a lot of it. We really wanted Kai to come and keep trying. And we went up. Singham and I went up to see Mannion in Pittsburgh, and we had lunch with him. And he was like, "Is Kai going to come back?" And we told him straight up. We were like, he thinks that you guys are never going to let him be Mr. Olympia. That you guys, because of his past, it's not going to happen. I'm like, we just want to talk about it with you. And Mannion said straight up, now listen, he's a businessman too, so he could be just telling us what we want to hear. I took it as genuine. He said, "We want Kai to win. We like Kai." He is like, we don't have any special, preference over Phil versus Kai. He's like, we like Kai. He was like, we think he could win. He's just got to, bring a little bit more. And he was like, we don't care about any of that. Now, listen, he could have been just telling us what we wanted to hear, but I believed it to be sincere. I remember leaving that day like, okay, like, hopefully we can get him to come back, but he didn't want to come back after that. So
I definitely got the feeling that Kai felt that way. I don't know if it's for the reason that Justin believed, but for whatever reason it was, you kind of saw Kai's like fire fading, like from
mhm.
like you can see the belief I'm gonna be Mr. Olympia to like a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, until he left. And what would the issue is he never actually deserved to be. If he did deserve to beat him, would he have beat him? I guess we'll never know.
Yeah,
I guess we'll never. I guess we'll never know. There is a business part to bodybuilding, but a lot of people don't even know about. Well, at least nowadays, a lot of people don't even know about that part of Kai's past. But at the time, I guess a lot of people didn't know. You know. But speaking of freaks, not that kind of freak, like the mass monster freak. Uh, we got he's actually heavier now. In his last YouTube video, I think he was 346 or 347. Um, I want to see a video. Okay, good. The video is more person. Here's the thing, man. In real time, nobody ever gets the credit until after they stop, right?
yeah,
I know you remember Ronnie at his prime. People were talking more shit than positive. People were saying, "Look at his stomach, and his
yeah.
physique is ugly, and we need
Mhm.
beautiful physiques." Now everybody loves Ronnie after he retired, but in real time he
Yeah.
was he was nasty. He was just look at the
Hmm.
stomach. So like for somebody to still be this aesthetic with a full set of abs and detail,
Hmm.
Mind you, he's 5'11". He's not 6'8".
And
This is
it's crazy because he looks taller than 5'11".
he does actually. Yeah, he does actually. I mean, but this is to carry in
Yeah.
the 340s and look like this is a think about this. When he won the Olympia, he was known as one of the more shapely aesthetic Olympians,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, he's literally definitely the biggest guy now, but he's battling for the biggest bodybuilder of all time. I mean, nobody under 6 foot has had this much muscle and in
Yeah.
this condition is just
Yeah.
so this is pretty impressive.
It,
What do you think?
as impressive as it is, I sadly I think his stock has gone down.
It has because I actually don't see a ton of people excited about this as much as he was. You remember when Big Ramy was touching the 330s?
Hmm.
People were really like whoa excited. I, I find this impressive, but I don't actually feel like I'm seeing people go crazy over this just because at the time Big Ramy was doing this, he was Mr. Olympia, and right now because he lost, I feel like people just don't see him the same. Maybe
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go back and rewatch. I still feel like Big Ramy had more wow factor personally. Um, I think just because Big Ramy, he seemed so like
mythical.
bubbly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he just didn't seem. He seemed so cartoonish. Samson, maybe it's because he is so
yep.
complete and aesthetic. Maybe he like a giant Dexter Jackson. you know.
That's the conversation we always had. Is it better to have freak factor or to be balanced? Because when you're balanced, nobody. This is the reason why he's 342 and he kind of looks normal, like huge
Yeah.
and normal. Whereas Ramy's proportions were all over the place. His shoulders are
Yeah.
just fucking wide and his
Hmm.
quads were sweeping off. And
Yeah.
he's less complete because he wasn't as complete as Samson. But that's what made him look freakier, right? Because
Yeah. I was a big Samson supporter, and I still think he looks amazing. It just after the last Olympia, I was like, "Ah, man, he definitely took a step backwards, and I don't know. I don't know what he has to do. I'm not going to sit and be like an armchair quarterback. I hear a lot of people saying that he doesn't train right, but I mean, to be that big, he's obviously he's doing a lot right. So
I think it's just genetics. We expect that. Here's the truth. He's never gonna be on stage with the condition of like Hadi. It's just not gonna happen. He tried, and he just got smaller.
yeah,
And I think we have to understand that everybody can't do that. We want everybody to be like, even with Big Ramy at the time. Oh, he'll never win Mr. Olympia because he can't be in the condition of Phil. Yeah, he can't look like Phil. That's why the Phil is literally the best of all time. That's the whole point.
yeah.
Everybody can't do it. What Samson can do is he can get really big, bubbly, have really good shape, and be in
Hmm.
good condition. If he
Yeah.
tries to be peeled, he just gets smaller. So that's kind of like, where do you go from there? So he figured, I'm just gonna get bigger. I'm gonna be in the same
Yeah.
condition, just bigger, and that's probably all he can actually do, technically.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather see him come in, just way bigger than everybody and not as conditioned. You know what I mean? Because seeing him look, he's still big, of course, but seeing him not look as big compared to the other guys that he normally looks big, it's just
Killed it.
like, ooh, like you hate to see that.
It kind of ruined it. Yeah, it kind of ruined it. Apparently Andrew found a way to do it. So it seemed like Andrew just needed to have enough muscle to
Yeah.
be able to come in shape. I don't think that's it for Samson. I actually don't think Samson can get like super peeled glutes. Like I just don't think that's in his cards. If he could have, that would have been last year because he dieted his ass off. So it is what it is. But
There are a lot of people, unfortunately, that are fans of bodybuilding that seem to think that it's a combination of, like a Dorian Yates style in the gym and just you know, manning up on your diet. But there's a genetic aspect to it that a lot of people just don't understand.
bro, it's been the complete opposite for me. Like the harder I go in prep, the shittier I look. The more rest and
Yeah.
recovery I get, the more I actually back off of training and back off of cardio, the better I look. So it's like for
Yeah.
some people, if you're half-assing it, then yeah, you need to push harder. But if you're already gassing it, more isn't necessarily better, you know. And Dorian did understand recovery though. Like Dorian, as hard as he trained, he only trained 4 days a week most of the time, and he also didn't do more than what 30 minutes of cardio. Like he also knew his limits. He gave it his all,
Yeah.
but he let himself recover. I think that's the
Hmm.
important part to remember that we leave out. And I think Samson pushed, but I don't think there was any recovery or anything like that added to it. So um
I think he looks, as far as just standing there not doing anything, he's like untouchable.
yeah, yeah.
Like not even
But
in the relaxed poses, just literally just standing there walking around. He looks perfect.
now here's the unlucky part for him. You put the weight aside, there's no skill on stage, right?
Yep.
His kryptonite is gonna be this at this point. It's gonna be this guy. This guy looks more impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. I
He's
know.
taller. He's
Yep.
technically not as complete, possibly, as far as like filling out his frame because he is taller, has a bigger
Hmm.
frame.
Hmm.
But Andrew, I've seen him in person. I'll say he is for sure more impressive. He
Yeah.
just he needed to fill some gaps. Well, he beat him last year, but he needed to fill some gaps, and he just needed more tissue because he's 6'2".
Yep.
And the way he's progressing, I honestly don't know if Samson can beat him again.
No.
It's going to be hard.
The first podcast I ever did with you, I said Andrew Jackson is my favorite bodybuilder of all the guys on the scene.
Yeah,
Like he also has like the freak factor with some of his body parts too. Like
he
the
does.
delts
Yeah.
and the arms are crazy. You
Insane.
know, like
Insane. Yeah.
and I think his legs, he doesn't have the sweep that Samson has, but his legs are big. You know, he's got big legs.
Well, last year on stage, as crazy as it sounds, his leg looked bigger than Samson's, which was
Wow.
like it was usually the opposite, right? It's like, well, Samson has bigger legs, Samson has bigger arms, and I'm looking, I'm like, that's where Samson fucked up. I'm like, oh, because that's all Andrew needed. Or if Andrew was able to match him muscularity wise, he was
Hmm.
going to beat him. And I'm looking, I'm like, well, he's beating him muscularity wise, he's beating him condition wise. I was like, if they let we all love Samson. If they let Samson beat Andrew, that's not the right move because he's beating him.
Yeah.
He's beating him. I would argue he was beating Hadi. Or you could make the case. I'm sure you got to make the case for him winning the whole show. I mean, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
I thought so. Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I think this guy is gonna be the guy to beat. I honestly don't know if Samson or Hadi are gonna beat him again. Hadi has a lot that he's dealing with outside of bodybuilding,
Yeah.
and I don't think Hadi is gonna get any better. He comes in harder, but Hadi isn't getting better, and we don't expect him to get better because he was already so good for so long.
Yeah.
So I think him improving is a thing of the past. I think he's just going to be a different version, and I don't think any version of him is going to be able to beat this new version of Andrew potentially. Is how I feel.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I mean, and Andrew, the improvements that he made at the Olympia, to me, I was like, if he could make consistent improvements like that by the Arnold, the next year is his year for sure.
I agree. I agree.
They
You know we,
finally, I feel like they finally rewarded him.
but you know what? I got to be honest. Even in his condition in the past, yes, it wasn't like crazy condition, but I would argue it was just as good, if not better, than Samson's conditions.
Yeah, I thought so. I just thought they were
Samson,
really brutally hard on him.
so, and like I said, seeing him in person at Texas, I didn't care about his glutes. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. This is the craziest shit I've ever seen. I don't give a fuck about the glute. And the glutes were never fat. He never had fat on his glutes. It just wasn't striated.
Yeah,
It wasn't like, a bunch of fat on his body. So after seeing that, I'm like, I think they were hard on him. And I think now that he showed them what they want, I think they're going to give it back to him. Where's the. So who would you say you have? Let's say Hadi is gonna do it. Let's keep Hadi in there. Who you have for your top five?
Um, well, I definitely would have Andrew number one.
Uh,
Man, I think that I could see I could see Martin being number two.
I could see. I mean, well, he beat Nick. Uh, I think I can see I think he could beat Hadi. He's peeled. He's bigger and fuller than Hadi. He's more complete than him technically, body part wise. So I don't see why he couldn't.
He's aesthetically he's definitely more pleasing. All right, if I was gonna say that the more like conservative way to go, I would say Andrew would be one, Hadi would be two, and then Martin would be three. I think it really is where do you see like Walker and Brandon Curry? Like do you see like Walker, being the really good version of Walker, that we saw a couple years ago? I personally think that like Brandon Curry at the Olympia looks really, really good. And so if he comes in like that again, like he could absolutely. I see. I would see him beating Brandao and probably beating Akeem, of course. I could see him beating Tonio too. But realistically, I would say um, I think Nick Walker will definitely be at least fourth. I think he'll be at least fourth. I think he I don't even think could he be second or third, maybe. But I think he'll be at least fourth. I think the hardest spot to figure out is like who would be like the last guy in the top five.
Well,
That's what I
well,
think.
Antonio's not doing it. He said
Oh, he's not doing it.
no.
Damn.
Um,
Um.
I guess Brett. I want to say I gotta be. I'm not very impressed with Brett Dow's updates. If I'm being honest, he doesn't look like he put on size, and his condition looks behind. If I'm being just completely honest, I'm not sure why, but that seems to be the case. Mofalda actually looks really good.
Oh yeah. I forgot about him. I haven't seen any of his updates in a while, so I can't speak on him. But um,
Where's
he
he at?
definitely has a lot of potential.
So this is how he's looking. He's looking a lot better than Raphael is looking. If I'm being honest, I don't know when this was, but 2 weeks ago. Uh,
Yeah, he's got plenty of size. I mean, I think well, yeah, he looks good, real full still too. Um, I think that they like Martin definitely, and
okay.
I think that Martin is more aesthetically pleasing uh, than the majority of these guys, and he poses pretty good too. So I think that if he has made some improvements, I think that he will absolutely be right there in the mix, especially if Hadi is not going to be there. If Hadi was going to be there, I think it's him and Andrew are one and two for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'll agree with that.
and then we've seen
Well,
Martin already beat Nick Walker.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, I don't know. Nick Walker is a wild card too because he's such a freak. Like the right version of him. We always say can
set.
beat a lot of people.
Oh yeah, and this guy is doing making his pro debut. He won the Arnold Amateur A trade.
Oh yeah, he's a freak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks
he's a freak.
pretty crazy,
Yeah. Yep.
pretty crazy, and he's tall. I would say around 6'2". Pretty sure he was taller than Janicki when he because he went against Janicki. Janicki is at least 6'1". I mean,
Yeah, I remember seeing those pictures of him winning. He looks really tall. He
Yeah.
he's impressive. He's comes in really hard. Who coaches him?
Jewett. Jewett is
Oh, big John Jewett. Yeah, he's coming in very dry looking, man.
Jewett is he does a good job. I mean, he brings people, including himself, really hard, really full. Like he's like a master of that detail last minute. And it's not like overly complex. It's just he factors everything. Everything
Yeah.
is factored. Things that when I hear him talk, I'm like, yo, I never even thought about that. I'm like, damn, that never even crossed my mind. How did you think of that? You know?
Yeah,
So yeah.
he's a very bright guy. I've
Oh
watched a
yeah.
ton of his stuff over the years, and I've watched him, of course, change himself a lot over the years. He's extremely one thing I like about him too is he's extremely rational with the way that he does his
Yes.
process, and
Yes.
there's no bullshit to it, you know. So I like that. I it looked like he did a really awesome job with Clarita too.
He did, yeah. Some really smart coaches, they're almost too smart for their own good, and they'll say something to be like, "Yeah, I think you're kind of over you're overthinking at this point. That's a bit much." John is very rational. As smart as he is, he's rational, and he
Yeah.
doesn't mind using like also experience sometimes, and not always just textbook. You know, so PJ, I appreciate you for coming on. I gotta prep the place for I gotta move the fridge out the way for these
No, I
exterminator guys.
appreciate you inviting me, man. I always like to
For that.
come and catch up with you.
Now that you're back home, I gotta have you back on more often, man. Gotta have
Yeah,
you
no,
back.
listen, I really appreciate it. Anytime you want me, I'll get on.
Get into politics.
Yeah, we're always down for that. There's a lot of intense stuff going on right now. So
Yeah, yeah. But all right, brother. You already know. Thank you so much, bro.
thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.